Here we go. We're live.
Woohoo!
Yay! I love that when it comes on. Yay! What is it? Yay!
Spirit fingers. It's like old school,
Yes.
like
Yeah, well, spirit
cheerleaders used to do
fingers.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So this is April, and I cannot say your name. Is it Sprints?
Sprints.
Sprints.
Sprints. Close
Oh,
enough. Yeah.
Sprints. That wasn't that bad. Yeah. Good morning. I'm so glad you could come on this morning.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Certainly. And you'll be able to see people when they comment on the right. If you
Okay.
click on
Awesome.
comments,
Ooh, I
it will
need to
show
do
the
that
people in
then.
the
I
group.
need to
Somebody already
click.
said good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. And by the way, I am jealous of your hair. Just
Oh, thanks.
putting that out there. Yeah, I'm follically challenged. For girls, that's not good, but like everybody in my family is bald, and I don't mean balding. I mean like bald. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah, so the future's not looking bright for my hair, but that's all right.
But
I'm
if you like wigs,
playing it.
I feel like it could be so fun because the worst part
Right.
about wigs is trying to get all your hair up in them. So if you don't have to do
I
that,
don't have that
you could
problem.
do some fantastic stuff. And you wouldn't even have to be there to do your hair. Someone else could do it, and then you could put it on later.
Ooh, and
Right?
everyone knows I like to delegate. So
See?
that's even awesomer.
I
Yeah,
love
I
it.
was thinking though if I do wigs, I'm gonna have to do like bright pink or like green and like the bob wig just
All
because
sorts.
right.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't even matter, right? Yeah, someone said diet blue being funny because I just did that.
Right?
Did
Well,
you miss
and
the
you
whole
could
blue thing?
no, I think I saw it when you were blue, and also you could match your hair with Captain Platinum's, right, with your avatar,
Ooh,
right? You could do
yeah,
that. And one day you could be pink. And Dolly does this. She has so much fun with her wigs because
yeah.
she could have whatever hair she wants. And again, someone does her hair while she's not even there. I love that
Yeah.
idea.
That is yeah. Anyway, I'm right now I'm just doing like the world's biggest comb over. For girls, it doesn't seem so bad. When I see a guy do it, I'm like, oh, cringy.
Oh,
But
you
boy,
can't tell.
yeah.
I
Oh,
can't tell.
good. Oh, that's awesome.
That's good.
That's what I love. Yeah, I really loved the dark blue,
Hmm.
but when it started to fade to green, it was like, oh no, no, no. And
Not as
then
fun.
it started to look a little gray, and I'm totally interested in my denial of getting older. I am totally interested in that.
But gray
So
hair
I'm
has
not doing
become a
gray.
thing, right? Gray
Not for
hair
me.
doesn't mean no, but it doesn't mean you're old anymore. Have you seen like these 20-year-olds that are making their hair like this platinum gray color because it's
Right.
so in? So
But
you
no
don't
one
have
that
to think that's
yeah.
age. Mm-mm.
Yeah. No,
That's
well,
just you look
I
like storm.
I didn't start coloring my hair till I adopted an infant at 42. I was 42 when I adopted an infant.
Wow.
Right. And the first store I went to and they said, "Oh, isn't this cute? Is this your first grandchild?" I called the hairdresser on the way home. I'm like,
That
Jeanette.
hurts.
Yeah, so and this is where 16 years later, so I'm not I'm prepared to be totally committed to my denial.
Oh, no, I get that. I look forward to getting older, though. I feel like I'm gonna. Did you ever see Betty White when she was in the Hot in Cleveland?
Yes,
That's
yeah.
what I
That
want to be
was
when I
funny.
get older. I want to wear those blingy track suits. I want to make snarky comments. I want to live with younger people and just like give them a hard time. I
Yeah.
think that, and then that will usher me into my ultimate fantasy life as I age, which is being one of the Golden Girls.
Oh, well, yeah. We all want that though, really.
Well, I live in South Florida, so I'm constantly trying to recruit people to do this with me, and they're like, "No."
We want to live in one of those little tiny home villages, me and my friends, except we want one of the husbands to make it. See, our money's
Okay.
pretty much on Eric. By the way, a lot of my buddies know Eric Mullins. We just call him Mullins. Our money's
Okay.
on him because he's the youngest, I think. But
But
we
why
want
a
one of them.
tiny house?
Then you don't have to keep up with your stuff. I'm a little sick of my stuff by
Okay.
this point.
Okay, that makes
But we
sense.
want one of the guys to make it so they can lug our stuff around. We don't want to lug our stuff,
Right?
but it's got to be one not annoying. So that's tough because Eric's annoying, and I mean
Uh,
annoying in the best possible way. That's how we say "bless your heart" up north.
well, what
So,
about like, right? What about like the villages? Have you ever thought, because like I'd be down to live in the villages. Have you heard of this place in South Florida?
oh, that's the retirement home where they got all the
Yeah.
stuff. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you
It's
drive
like
golf
a
carts, right?
cruise. Yeah,
Did I
yeah,
help
it's like
you?
a
Oh,
cruise, but it's a
yeah.
home for older people, and ever since I saw the movie In Her Shoes with Cameron Diaz and, I forget the other lady's name, but it was it was actually from my one of my favorite authors' books, Jennifer Weiner, and man, it might be Weiner. I might be saying that wrong, and that breaks my heart. But
Well, no, we
anyway,
always love Wiener, so go right ahead with that.
they they lived in she went and lived with her grandmother in this retirement community, and in this movie, she was 30 and her grandmother was in her 70s maybe, and she had such a good time with all the people who lived with her. It is old ever since.
No, that sounds like fun though. No,
Love it.
I suppose we ought to know we're already 10 minutes and we haven't talked about work stuff. But that's all right. We both know each other from Bob Berg's the Go Giver Alliance, which Bob is
Yes,
awesome, by the way.
he's
I love that we're
amazing,
doing the Rachel's on Wednesday, the Rachel's Coffee
right?
House. That is so much fun. You sent me an introduction for you rather than just read it because that's a little weird. But
Right?
I love that so you were, if I'm understanding this right, you were in the military serving
Mhm.
on the news as an anchor for the
I
military.
was. Mhm.
Oh, tell me about that because that sounds wicked interesting.
It was really fun. I didn't even know it existed, Lisa. I wanted to be a news anchor from really young, like 6 or 7 years old. I was like, I wanted to be Barbara Walters. And so when I was planning to do it, I always thought I'd go to college and then, work my way up, etc. And then I happened to find out that they had news anchors in the Air Force. And at the time, because I came from a family of super humble means, I didn't know how I was going to pay for college. And so it just seemed to dovetail together very well. Now, you may realize just talking to me for a few minutes, I'm not the ultimate candidate for a good military person, probably a little reminiscent of Goldie Hawn and Private Benjamin. But it was an amazing experience. And I got to do the coolest things. I got to interview all the people who were the real heroes in the military. I got to interview famous people who came overseas on USO tours to see us, military leaders, just all sorts of great individuals.
Wow.
And it was so fun. And something that everyone knows now because of COVID, I often got to do it while not wearing pants. Right? Because you really do only dress from like here up. I'm doing it today. I'm wearing Lululemon
Well, no, that
shorts
makes all
and
the
a shirt.
difference to this story. The no pants is awesome. So, I do want to know one thing though. Back up a little
Yeah.
bit. Boot camp. How did that? How wasn't that?
Oh, it was hard. It was really
Oh,
hard. It
I would
was
bet.
So it was such a change because they kind of break you down and then they build you back up.
Yeah.
And I was a confident person who was used to being able to talk my way out of things. And I tried to do that in boot camp. And yeah, they just screamed at me until I cried because everything I
Oh.
tried to do was the opposite of what they were trying to get us to do, to get in line, to do the right thing, to all these things. And I was like, whoa, 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 calm down when they're yelling. Like everything I did for like the first week was comical. I wish there was a camera. But then you get through it and you do it. And oddly, as unlikely of a boot camp candidate as I was, they put me in charge. Like they made me the dorm
Ooh.
chief and they were like, now you're in charge of everybody since you seem to think you know how everything should run. And I was like,
No, that's awesome though, because I'm not sure I could even work for somebody else at this point. Talk anything
right,
about getting yelled at. I'm not good at that. No, that's why I'm
right.
single now. Yeah, no, yeah, that's not on my in my repertoire anymore, getting yelled at. No.
Oh, I
So
get
I
it.
good on you for making it through that though, because then you got what you wanted to do after that.
Absolutely. That was a big goal thing, right? So knowing that that was at the end of it, knowing that if I make it through this hard thing, and I remember I kept telling myself over and over again, at the time, basic training was only 6 weeks. I think now it's 8 or 9 weeks because it's been quite a few years. But I remember telling myself, you can do anything for 6 weeks. You can do anything for 6 weeks. And there have been so many times in my life where something was so hard, where that was my answer to myself. You can do anything for an hour. You can do anything for, 6 months, whatever it is. And I think that basic training really helps set that as a foundation for me.
No, that's awesome. Actually, I've done that too. When it's something I didn't want to do, I'm thinking, oh, I could do this for for a week. Anybody could do this for
Yeah.
a week, right?
Yeah.
No, that's a good way to look at it, though. And actually, when someone's building like a direct sales business,
Mhm.
you could think that way. I could do anything and just until I make the title. You know what I mean? Once, because
Sure.
when I first was climbing that mountain to make the title, um, I thought I better just make it to the top. How am I gonna know what this is worth or not if I don't get to the top of the pay plan?
I love it.
I won't be able to, right? So I'm just going to do it till I get to the top of the pay plan. Once I'm up there, I'll figure out whether it was worth it or not. So,
Which is
but
a great way of looking at it.
I think, yeah, well, it's hard to not quit.
Well, so what I love is, and I know I'm not allowed to say the name, but you and I were part of the same direct selling organization. Now, you've done much better than I did.
I didn't know
However,
that. I did not know
yes,
that. Oh, that's
yes.
awesome.
So when it's actually in my book, Magic Blue Rocks, I talk about becoming a part of it. I was 12. They didn't know I was 12. I presented much older, and it was a long time ago too, right? This is 30 years ago. So by phone, I just, sounded like a young, eager recruit. And it was a very successful business for about 6 months. I did not make it to the top of the pay plan, but I was doing it after school and things. But I did very well. And what actually ultimately ended my business was my own bad planning. So as I was making the money, I wasn't putting any of the capital away. I didn't have 3 to 6 months of expenses or anything like that. And I had a UPS delay where my order didn't get
Oh,
there for a couple weeks. And
yeah,
for me, I was counting on getting the payment from the customers to pay the invoice.
yeah.
So that ultimately ended the business, but man, it was an awesome experience. And boy, did it teach me a lot.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I didn't know that. Thank you for telling
Yeah.
me. You wouldn't believe how many people have repped for that company, but they've been in business for so long, too.
Mhm.
That's my
Yeah, it was
favorite thing is when
6 or
people
9
come up and say
months.
that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome, though. So once you were in the Air Force doing that, by the way, you need to name drop somebody. Tell me somebody really, really
Oh.
big, famous that you had got to meet.
Oh
Just
gosh, I have no
anybody.
idea. Oh, anybody. Well,
Oh, yes.
it depends on your crowd. Like, I got to meet the president. I mean, that seemed
Oh,
kinda big.
that's big and famous. Which one?
Bill Clinton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now I'm dating myself.
Nice.
Now you know when I was in. But yeah, so him, I got to meet Jennifer Lopez, Kid Rock. I got to meet all the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders, which was really cool at the time.
Wow.
We had
Oh, they
lots of
work
people that
hard.
came
Yeah.
over. Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson, Carson Daly. Just lots of people came
Wow.
over for USO tours and things like
That's
that.
awesome.
And then folks that maybe aren't as popular with general crowd, like, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, those kinds of folks.
Oh, yeah. But military, what guys were into
Oh,
that?
yeah,
Yeah.
big deal,
Oh,
big
that's
deal.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, what's funny about I don't understand about the whole president situation is I'm excited no matter which president it is. And
Right?
whether I agree with him or not, he's still the president. And
Right?
the people that turn down going to the White House because they don't agree with their politics are insane. They're never going to get asked again.
Right? I'd
They're
love
like,
to go. Send me
yeah,
an invite, I'll come, and, I'd love to come
right.
around Christmas because I hear you decorate quite
Oh, it's
well.
beautiful. Yeah. And, I think it's
Or
funny.
when
It's
the
not
cherry
like
blossoms are blooming, that would be a great time too.
is your kids 3 generations down aren't going to go, well, you got to go to the White House. Did you agree with his politics? They're just
Well,
going to go, oh my God, you got to go to the White House. They're not going to care.
right. Well, and let's take this back a level. So here's what's interesting to me is people who will be like, I don't agree with their politics. I can't even talk to you. Can you just name one friend you have, just one friend, that you agree with absolutely everything that they think and
Oh,
believe?
there's not going
Right?
to be nobody.
Because if that
Right.
was a requirement, we wouldn't have people in our lives. I think that's silly. Let that go. Okay, they think
Well, and
differently than you.
especially for small business owners and in direct sales, you narrow down half your market. We go over
Right?
this all the time. I drive my friends crazy because I see so many of my team members and my colleagues on social media uh, running down their opposing opinion friends. And I'm like,
Mhm.
if a potential customer is looking at you, which they do, and
Right?
they see you doing that, you need to be pretty neutral here. If you want to have a big old opinion out, in regular life, go right for it. But if you post it on social media, you're limiting who's going to contact you to buy because they're not going to want to hear it. They care
Sure.
about
Well,
their stuff. You know what I mean?
yes. And I like to focus on the way that we're alike instead of focusing on the way that we're different. And that goes all around everything. It doesn't matter if it's politics, if it's life, because to me, when you get really angry and you start this and this, you're pushing up against it. It doesn't, from a mindset perspective, that doesn't feel good. It doesn't make you happier or feel better or more productive. So in my old age, I have gained the wisdom of I don't do that. I ignore the things that bother me and focus on the things I love.
Oh, that's even more perfect. That's not telling them to not do something. That's telling them to do something. So that's even more perfect. Focus on the
Well, thank
stuff that's positive that you have in common. Thank you. That's
yeah.
I'm going to write that down right now. Hey, so now tell me how you did the transition from you went from the Air Force. What did you do next after that? You didn't write the book right away.
No, I didn't. So it's funny. A lot of my life in hindsight, it is only seems like it was a good idea because it ended up being successful. But like at the time, it was probably a dumb thing to do. So I got my degree. I'd gotten to anchor Air Force Television News, which at the time the audience was 95 times the size of CNN. So like I thought it was a big
Whoa.
deal. I was excited, but I felt like I was done. Like I'd done everything I could in broadcasting and in the military from that viewpoint, because I was still very young. I was in my mid 20s, so they wouldn't let me lead anyone. They were like, you're not experienced enough, and it just didn't feel fun to go do a job I'd already done. So they had what they called a drawdown, which is, it's funny, in the Air Force overall, they really needed people, but in our career field, we were less than 1% of the Air Force. There were only 300 of us in the entire military
Wow.
across the world, and they didn't need that many of us. So they said, listen, if you want to, you can just get out. So you just tell us and you'll get an honorable discharge and you can leave early. And they said you can leave at any point up to 6 months. So the smart thing would have been to say, hey, I'm going to leave. I'll take 6 months while you're still paying me. I'll find a job. I'll decide what I'm going to do or whatever. Okay, so I was 25, 26, somewhere around there. And I was like, you got it. Air Force, I'm getting out. Here's my 2 weeks notice. And I'm just no planning. Like, how hard could it be to get another job? Because the last
Oh
time I was
no.
looking, it didn't take long. So I was like, I'll see you later. We threw a big party and there we go. And what I didn't know at the time, and I don't know if this is still true today, Lisa, but it definitely was then, you really had to look for about a month for every $10,000 a year you wanted to make.
Whoa.
So for
That's a good. I
me,
didn't know that because I haven't
mhm,
looked for a job in a long
right, in a
time.
while. And it
Yeah.
may be a little different now, but that's what it was then. But I didn't know. I learned that, right? And
Yeah.
what was hilarious is I I was doing all right financially, except I don't do well not moving, not doing things. So I had a finite amount of money that was saved. And I had at that time, I had a fiance and I wanted to contribute, but I also was like bored at home. So I was like, let's redo the floors. Let's do this. Let's do that. So 3 weeks in, I was like, I got to get a job of some sort just to keep myself busy. So I went back to something I'd done in high school, which was temping. And a lot of people don't really know about this, but basically, now you couldn't temp as a news anchor, which is a bummer because boy, would that be fun. And I'll be your news anchor just for this week. But I went and worked as an administrative assistant in a company. And that paid well. It didn't pay as much as what I was looking for, but it was definitely enough to pay my bills and it kept me from spending money. And as I was doing that, I was interviewing for a bunch of broadcast positions and found out something that shocked me at the time, which was I made a lot more broadcasting in the Air Force than I was going to make.
Oh,
Yeah,
I wouldn't have
unless
thought
you
that
make it big.
because everybody complains about military pay.
They complain about military pay because they don't understand it. And what I
No,
mean is this is that so much of your pay isn't taxed.
because it's
So you
housing and
may
stuff, right?
Yeah, so it's
Housing and food and
housing, it's food, it's all these things. So if you're in the military and you think you make 50 grand a year, you're making closer to six figures because of a
oh
tax perspective. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And
yeah.
it feels like, or six figures probably a little high. It feels like 75 or 80. right?
Yeah.
So you don't know really until you get out. And it's one thing that I always encourage people who are getting out of the service to contact me, whether I know you or not, to help you understand, one, some of the ways to interview and how to translate some of those job skills that maybe in the civilian world, as we call it, don't make as
Hmm.
much sense. And
Hmm.
then the other is the money is very different. You need a much higher salary than you think you do to make it an even transition.
Yeah.
So I started to think maybe I should just be in business. So I actually was really excited because the company I was temping at, I really liked. And I actually launched about a 2-month harassment plan to get them to hire me, and it worked.
I like the way you put that. Oh, that's awesome.
It was great.
So how long did you stay there?
About a decade.
Oh,
So yeah.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
I learned a lot. I did project management, I did client management, marketing, sales, pretty much anything and everything, operations, and all kinds of
Well, now
roles.
you got me going though, because I've worked at places, this was before when I was working for someone else, and
Mhm,
I went in as an administrative assistant. They would never let me, they wouldn't take me serious in any other department. I
mhm.
actually begged them to be in sales. So how did you make the transition where they would listen to you for another department?
You know,
Or
it's
you
so
just did
funny.
it?
It's so funny that you say that because I actually talked with another young lady who had an issue like that at Exxon, had come in as an admin, then got her degree and was ready to be an engineer, like had serious credentials and knew the company. And she battled for a couple years to make that transition.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was interesting for me. I think the reason that it worked was because I wasn't a full-time employee yet. So as an admin, I was just a temp, right? So
So
I'm
they didn't look
interviewing
at
for
you,
all
they
these
didn't
new.
box you. They didn't put you in
Well,
the box.
interestingly, they kind of did because they offered me that administrative assistant role, which by the way, paid 20 grand a year more than the entry level marketing role I wanted. But it wasn't about money. It was about
Right.
I want to have this
Be able to
mobility.
go somewhere too, right? Because
And
admin's a hard job, but there is not an upside really.
no, there's no more that you can do. You can be amazing at it and you can be paid more and more. But at the time, the temporary position, I was an admin to the head of finance. So there's not a whole lot, maybe admin to the CEO, what have you. But that I wanted to learn more. I felt like I understood that role and had learned all I could. So for me, it was more the fact that I wasn't in it yet and that I refused to get in it because I sensed what you're saying, that there will be nowhere for me to go. And if you're really good, and this was the thing that I disliked the most about corporate, and I fought against it for myself and I fought against it for others, is that if you're really good at something, people tend to not want to let you go because of what you're doing for them. And to me, it is always so much more beneficial to value what people could have, their dream, how they could grow, because they'll refer you someone else who's a good admin. Let it go. Let them go to where they're going.
No, that's true. That's a good point too. I didn't think of it that as them not wanting me to move because I was good at it. That
Well,
that
because
could be, yeah.
that's super tough to find. And it's funny, I think people underestimate administrative assistants and how important they are a
Oh no,
lot.
they run the company. There's no doubt about
Yes.
that.
You
I
know
have
what? And
one,
if you don't
and she
believe
runs the
that,
company.
if you don't believe
Yeah.
that, piss one off.
Right. Oh yeah. You're right. You're not getting by, right? You're not getting by them. No, it's just so funny. I did, by the way, get my ultimate revenge. This sounds bad, but so I left that company, or actually I got laid off in they'd closed the department I was in,
Mhm.
and but they wouldn't let me be in sales. But at the time, this was in the 80s, all the people in sales had one thing that I didn't have
What?
biologically.
Right?
All of them. There were no women in sales
I
in
get
that
that.
particular company. And it was funny because they're just like, no, 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 no sales. So later, when I made it to the top of the pay plan in the other company, I was featured in the magazine called Dreams Magazine. I had this big spread. So I bought 1 million copies of that. I still have some
Literally a
of the
million? You
magazine.
bought 1,000,000
Oh no,
copies.
no, I actually bought, I think it was 5,000 total.
Still,
And I still have a few because I use them for recruiting, of course.
I
Because
love
you know,
it.
the genius about a magazine, if you're in it, is that it doesn't even matter what kind of magazine is it, you get credibility from it. So, I
Sure.
mean, I could be an Idiot Monthly and everybody would be like, oh my God, you're in a magazine.
I think I pitched to them and they said, no, we will not take you for Idiot Monthly. And I was so bummed.
They would take me, by the way.
They
Well,
said I wasn't even qualified. I was really hurt.
I bought a whole bunch of copies and they were like $2.75 each or something. And I considered that investment in my sanity and I mailed copies,
Yeah.
signed, signed like autographed to
Oh, I
all these
love
people.
it.
These guys that wouldn't let me do sales, these people that told me I'd
So
never be
good.
anything but a secretary. And I just wrote a little note and I said, just thought you'd like to see how things turned out.
Oh,
And
I love it.
yeah, it was like therapy at 275 a shot. It was awesome.
I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic. Well, I had a similar moment when I was at Harlan Clark. That's the company I was at because I fought really hard to get hired. And they were like, well, you're not qualified. You're a TV news anchor. And I was like, that's ridiculous. I'm a good start, go get stuff. I learn things quickly. I'm smart. Yeah, no, you need to hire me. Here's all the reasons. I actually wrote, I have this in the book. I wrote a now embarrassing and cringeworthy reading email about, hey, I think you could improve your hiring process because the fact that you don't want to hire me shows me that you're missing things. So let me tell you about all the ways I could help your company. And by the way, hiring manager, I'm going to copy the head of hiring in HR because I think they need to hear this too. Like it was very ballsy. And at the same time, I earnestly meant it. Like, I think this will make you better. But I feel like you're failing at this. So when I finally I eventually got to go into sales like you. I had to fight for it a little bit too. I kept saying I wanted to go into sales because I was selling from a client management standpoint. And I
Yeah.
knew how much more lucrative it would be if I was in sales. And when they were dragging their feet, because it was a little bit of an old boys club too, I went to the leader of my division and I said, I have amazing news. And he said, what? I said, I got my real estate license so I can practice selling until you're ready to get me in that role.
Oh, that did it, right?
Well, so apparently he went to another manager and a vice president and said, we need to put April in sales. She
Yeah.
makes one home sale and we're going to lose her because
Yeah.
she's going to make
I was
this
going to
big
say,
chunk
yeah,
of
you could
money.
make more money. Yeah.
So it worked, but I so get what you're saying. Well, then I stayed in that role. I ended up becoming their top salesperson. At one
Nice.
time I signed a $90 million contract. Like
Mm.
this was really cool, right? And so they promoted me and I went down to HR and the person who ran the whole HR department, senior vice president, was a woman. And when I walked in, she started laughing and I said, what is it? And she said, I'm just chuckling thinking how hard we fought not to hire you. Does that make you laugh? And me, I said, it made me laugh then. Now I'm just like, see,
Well, that is awesome. So how did you go? What part did the book come in? Is that lately?
yeah, that I literally released the book in March. That was so lately.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's
Thank you.
Magic Blue
Magic
Rocks,
Blue
the secret
Rocks.
to doing anything. That
Yes.
is so
And so
awesome.
it is. Yeah, I was encouraged by someone else, actually a mutual friend of Bob's, who said, you really need to share your stories. I think it will be inspiring for folks. And the whole purpose of the book is this. Look, y'all, I'm not special. I'm not smarter. I'm not more connected, certainly not more
I know
connected,
you're
not
more
not
gorgeous.
anything.
You're more gorgeous.
You are very kind. Thank you. But none of the things about what made my dreams come true are things that are not true for other people. They just aren't. And so if I could share with folks that the one thing that I had, whether it was based in fact or not, was this incredible belief that, oh, yes, I can, and how folks can cultivate that belief in themselves. And one of the great parts is it's not all stories of wins by any means. It's stories of how badly I did something, but because I believed, it still worked out so well, and how you can cultivate and leverage that mindset for yourself.
No, I love that. I love that. Do you know, you don't know this part of my thing, but I spent
Uh-huh.
18 years in a single wide in a trailer park, and I somehow convinced myself that that was a mistake. It was like I wasn't meant to be here. How did this
Right.
happen? You know what I mean? And every day I would be like, no, no, this I was meant to be in the back of the limo and in the front of the plane. That
Why
was my
not?
whole thing, right? This
Yeah.
was this somehow this happened by mistake. And I worked my way out of that thinking that. And I don't know how, but I just was like, oh, Eunice says she likes the jewelry this morning.
Oh,
That,
awesome. You do
I
have on
know.
great jewelry.
Isn't this nice? One of my buddies sells um paparazzi.
Mm,
The reason I buy from I try to buy all from direct sellers, but she gives
right?
excellent service and she keeps getting awards. I had to
Ooh,
buy stuff from her
put
just
her
to
in the
see.
chat because I wanna look it up, and I love jewelry. So yeah, yeah,
Oh, I will send you her link. She
love
has
it.
this like VIP group. She has been consistent, and now I know why. I mean, she sends these awesome thank you cards every time you purchase. She makes it easy to buy. She has little flyers that come with her
My necklace is
orders
going nuts.
that
I
are
need new
cute.
ones. I
Oh, she
love that.
makes it fun,
But won't you
fun,
pay
fun,
for
fun.
service? Me personally, like, I will pay significantly more for service because I
Well, you know
care.
what's funny is this is the hard part about that company, I think, is that everything's $5 or close. So it's hard because you have to sell a lot to. It's not like a
Mhm.
house sale,
Right?
right? But she's killing it.
I
She is
love
killing it.
that.
That's why
I love that.
I had to see what she was doing because she's killing it. And I'm
So
thinking,
good.
and the reason I like to buy from other companies and I like to go to other companies, I sneak into other companies' conventions and stuff because
Yeah.
I want to see what they're doing, see if I could bring some of that over here
Oh,
to me,
absolutely.
to incorporate. Because I think it's a mistake to stay in your company bubble. You know
Oh,
what I
it's
mean?
hugely,
Yeah.
hugely. You know, so in my work, in my business, one of the things that is so interesting is I'm industry agnostic. So I work across all industries when I go to help turn around companies or scale them. And what is so funny, and it's so in line with what you're doing, I love, Lisa, what you're doing, is that sometimes an idea that I will bring to someone, which to them seems like this genius thing, is just table stakes in another industry. It's just the way they do things. But because
Yeah.
they're not doing what you're doing and really keeping their eyes, open and their ear to the ground about all these different things, they're not doing things that would be revolutionary to their business and that are just the normal way of doing things in another one. I've literally taken some processes that are really normal in a trucking company and helped a dance company with those processes, and it be
No,
like,
that is so it's
wow,
so smart, and the fact that you can get paid for pointing it out is
right?
hilarious, right?
I love it.
In our company, the thing I'm known for is something that I saw Coca-Cola doing, and
Ah,
I wrapped my vehicle with a big ad. That's
oh,
all I
that, yeah,
did.
smart,
That wasn't to me. That was not unusual. I saw somebody else, another company do it, and I went, "Hey, that'd be a great idea." And
right?
in direct sales, it was a big thing because no
Oh
one else
yeah,
was doing it. But
right.
I don't know why still not that many do it because it's such an obviously easy way to get a lot of people to know what you're doing.
Well, now this is when you leave the house, Lisa. This does not work if you are a hermit direct salesperson.
Oh well, no, but it's funny. This last time though, I have a full wrap on my van, a full wrap.
Mhm.
By the way, I am a minivan driver. Don't make fun of me. Oh, I heard you could call it a what is it, MPV?
Oh,
Um,
that sounds way cooler,
it sounds way better than minivan. Multi-purpose vehicle.
right?
I'm
Or
in love with
multiple
that.
person vehicle.
I'm calling it that from now on.
Yeah, that does. I gotta be completely candid. That sounds cooler.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I don't I live in rural New Hampshire. I'm seeing 5 people a month because there's only 5 people living in the state besides me.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
but when I had this wrapped, I said to the guy, I said, the main thing I'm going to use this for is social media. So let's make it jazzy. And what he did was he
Oh,
put lips, a big giant set of lips on the back, and the wiper on the back is a lipstick.
that is
And
brilliant.
So I've used pictures of it and that back on it in my ads. I've used it in on social media all the time. So I've got more mileage, and I have used it locally in some parades and stuff. But I've got more mileage out of it that way than if I lived in a big area. So
Okay,
to
I
me,
love
it's
that.
still worth doing.
Can I ask you a question? Because your industry has changed so much with the
Mhm.
advent of social media and with people getting more savvy and so much about e-commerce and things. What percentage of business do people who do what you do is that online versus in person? Because back in my short day, it was 100% in person. That was it, right? But I would think that man, you could grow a business like crazy because you now have the e-com
Well, I
side.
think we're still in the people that are making full-time money. This is my opinion. I of
Mhm.
course don't have all the pieces of the puzzle to share, but in my opinion, the ones making the biggest money are still doing a combination of the two.
Makes
I think
sense.
it's actually a mistake when people, I see them do this on social media all the time. They put a stake in the ground and say, I'm only going to do online now. For those of you who want local delivery, screw you. I'm only going to sell online. I think that's a mistake. I think you're going to
It
always
is.
need to do whatever the customer wants, because it's about the
Mhm,
customer ultimately. And with my particular company and a lot of companies like Paparazzi, you can buy jewelry other places. And
mhm,
my main gig, you can buy shampoo and lipstick other places. So it has to be about service. So even if they buy
mhm,
online, you have to do things like uh, this cool paparazzi lady's doing, um,
mhm,
writing thank you notes, being very personable, being quick on her service. And you have to do that even if they're buying from your online site and shipping direct to them. You've got
mhm.
to reach out and like have a VIP group on Facebook, and you've got to send them a thank you note every sale. And you have to tell them when there's a big giant sale and you have the special coupon code. So I think it's always going to be a mix, but
'Cause the
you're
relationship, you
still
can't get rid of the relationship
right.
part, and I think that's what
Or
you're
why
talking
buy?
about.
Yes. Or why they
Well,
don't have a reason to buy from you if you do that.
and it's funny because even so you talk about, like, delivering it in person and things like that, like, "I'm not gonna do this." You know, when you think of big e-com giants, they still feel like they have that personal reach because of the delivery, because you can get
Yeah.
it right then, because they even an Amazon, if you will, they talk to me. I ordered probably way more from Amazon than I should, but
Don't
because
we
I'm
all?
I'm busy, but they know, right? They're like, "We think you'll like this too." And I'm like, "I didn't even know I wanted that." Yes, I do. But and I think back to your company, right? Man, those samples, I feel like those built relationships like nothing else. Like, I think you'll love this because I know you. And that would definitely have to be mixed in with the ecom because everybody likes different channels. That's why folks have omni-channel strategies, right?
Well, and I think there's nothing like when you build a relationship with the customer. For example, on my Facebook wall yesterday, even though I don't do live video makeup things because I've never been known for wearing makeup. That was not my part of the company that I liked. The part of the company I've sold the most of all these years, believe it or not, is deodorant and shampoo. And I
Okay.
concentrated on that because I knew I've done this almost 40 years, and I knew even in a bad economy, I was obviously a wee child when I signed up. The economy goes up and down, but you have to be pretty bad off before you're not wearing deodorant. You know
That's
what I
so
mean?
true.
So that's why I concentrate on that. But on my wall this time, yesterday, I put no makeup
Mhm.
and then what I used to put the make. So I listed every single one and the link to the page that sold that particular thing.
I
So
love it.
I'm learning how to do that too. It's not, you know what I mean? I'm learning how to make that connection for the customer. But I
Oh,
think
that's
it's
so
not, it
cool.
wasn't a
Ooh,
switch.
somebody loved it. I'm just seeing in the chat, and good morning, everyone. We're not saying good morning to them, and I feel
I
badly
know.
about that. But someone said
It's
they
Eunice.
loved it. Yeah, that
Yeah,
you did a great
Eunice. She's a
job.
friend of mine. Yeah, Eunice, you did a great job. Yeah, thank you, Eunice, because you know I'm not a makeup person. So
So good. Wow, we have people from Vegas. What time is it in Vegas? It's
there's
early.
actually people usually from all over the country. Oh, Marie's
Oh, I
on. Good
love
morning,
it.
Marie from Tennessee.
Well,
And
good morning,
Cheryl's
everybody.
on.
Marie, I'm from Tennessee. Woo!
You're in
So
Tennessee right now?
Who, me?
Um, yes.
No, that's where I'm from. I'm in
Oh,
Palm Beach, Florida right now, but I'm
oh, of
from
course
Tennessee.
you
That's
are.
where I come from.
Of course you are.
I literally live 15 minutes from Bob.
I'm like making fun of you because you're so gorgeous and you're from Palm Beach. See,
Oh,
I'm like,
thank you.
ooh.
You're so kind. This feels really great. I like it. And you sell makeup, so this is a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. If only, it's funny. I have had corporate people tell me I would make more money if I actually used makeup.
I don't believe
And
that.
no,
I don't
me
believe
either.
that.
Me either. That's why I never did it. I'm doing it for myself now, not because it's going to make me sell more, but to them, they're not with the company anymore, and I still am. Sorry.
Right?
Oh snap.
Mic drop. Mic drop. I like it.
I love the Go Giver Alliance. I hope more people plug into that because there is nothing to me that is more mind opening than to be talking with a whole bunch of people that are from all kind of different industries,
Mm-hmm.
doing all kind of different stuff. Like you are so not in the normal of who I would be interacting with,
Right?
and some of the guys on there, like the engineer lady
Mm-hmm.
that does all the
Yes.
engineer stuff, and there's just front real estate. There's all kinds of different people on there, and they're probably thinking the same thing. We don't usually direct help. Oh,
Oh,
sorry, the dog.
puppy.
Yeah,
Who is it?
hopefully
Can
you
we
won't
see the
be
puppy?
barking. It's Bo. Bo, hey, what the heck? Oh, now he's gonna cry about it. Have you seen
Cameo.
the
He's
tail?
doing cameo. I saw him. Hi. That
Sorry.
feels like UPS to me. That totally feels like UPS. He's like seriously protecting you. Like, this is our house.
Or the
Don't leave your
squirrel.
packages. Oh, squirrel. Yeah. Also
No,
that.
we have something funny here with the UPS. So we have a bunch of doors on the house, and
Right?
there's a door on my mother's side of the house. I live with my mother, but it's not as bad as it sounds.
Maybe she lives with you,
It's
right?
a
Because
mother.
then it's
Yes. Oh, that sounds better, doesn't it? It's a
right.
mother-in-law apartment. But one of her doors has no stairs, and of course, that's the one UPS decides because we don't use that door, so
Oh
it has no
no.
stairs to it. That's
Yeah.
where they leave the packages.
Makes sense. And
People,
then you're like, it never got here. Oh wait, let me
so,
go check that door.
so I put a big sign in the door that says, don't leave nothing here." And I put, did I really need to put that? I guess I was what antagonistic on my sign, but
That's so funny.
I'm thinking the guy. I don't even know how the guy got up there to put the box because
That's
there's
so
no
funny.
stairs.
I like when I've been renovating my home that I bought in February. And so sometimes the garage will be open more than it would be normally because workmen are coming in and out. And I like when Amazon or UPS like hides a package in there for me. Like they're trying to keep it protected, right? But I say hides because there's all kinds of stuff in there. And then I'm like, it's delivered, but where is it?
I'm glad when they take a picture. That's always helpful.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, that looks like my garage floor, close to the washer. Where is it? Yeah.
The UPS guy, I think the problem with the dog is that one of the UPS guys has
Hmm.
little dog biscuits. And he'll
Ooh,
give the dog one if he's here when he sees it. And even the
right.
other day, he was nice enough to leave it on top of the box, which Bo went crazy for that. But then the
That's so
other
sweet.
ones don't. So then the dog doesn't know the difference. He's like, "Hey, you got a brown suit on. You better have a biscuit there, pal."
Let's talk about that though. Okay, so talk about a Go Giver thing. So the Go Giver Success Alliance, I love because when I read the Go Giver, I was like, oh my gosh, these are my people. Finally, where is everyone? And that's what I loved about it was the idea that I could then interact with people who think this way. But that UPS guy, he is a Go Giver because there is no direct benefit to him.
To get
None.
right,
None.
right.
He gets nothing for being that person that
I
gives
think
the
that
dog
is so
biscuit and brings
smart
the
of
dogs
him.
joy. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
He's actually the same guy that asks me where I want them left so that when he is the driver, he'll put them where I want them. He asked me
All right,
when I
Lisa, we
went
got
there,
to
he
give
said,
him a gift. We got to
right,
give him some
he's good.
cupcakes or
He's good.
something.
Oh no, I give him brownies, don't worry.
Do you see? Because you're
Yeah,
a
and the
go giver. I
holidays and
love
stuff. Yeah.
it. So good.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
good.
he's great. That's what I love about service people. I try to reward the ones that are really good like that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. Yeah.
But so going back to like paying for value, I would pay more for delivery from that guy. If I could always have him and he was going to give my dog a biscuit and my dog
Oh,
was
that's true.
excited to see him, I would pay more for delivery and I'd feel good about it.
So the trick as a business owner, I think, is to make sure we're that guy, that
Yes.
we are the ones that, so uh, back to the proclamation of I'm only going to do online, why even
Right?
say that? You know what I mean? To me,
Mhm.
I don't end up delivering a lot, but it's
Mhm.
not because I made some big proclamation that I wouldn't. It's
Right.
just that when it comes down to it, it's the way I word it, and I try to do what they want. You know what I mean? If somebody says to me, "I really want you to come deliver it," and if they live 2 hours from me, I say, "How about if I have it delivered right to your house?" And I order it and deliver it to them. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
necessarily delivered by me. I just try to get what they want, just at a way that I can do it. But I don't
Mhm.
lay down the rules like it has to always be the way I want, because it's got to
No,
be the
makes complete
customer.
sense.
You know.
I
So
love that.
yeah, I think there is a balance. I get people not wanting to, deliver all over the place, but they can figure out how to do it and still have the customer's interests first. I think, don't you?
Well, yeah, and my whole career really was sales when it came down to it. And it's my first love. And I think it is amazing. But I have always looked at selling differently than most people, with the ABC, always be closing, blah, blah, blah.
Oh.
To me, selling is helping. Like I am going to help you. And in exchange for me helping you with a product, a service, something, you're going to give me money because you find value in it. And that's our contract together, right? So if I'm not the best person to help you, then I don't feel badly giving you someone else who is. If my product won't help you, I'm not offended that you don't want it because I want you to get what helps you. And I think that if you look at everything through that lens, it changes the way you look at it. You would never say, I'm only selling online if you're looking to help people, because there are people that you can't help if that's the only way you do it.
That's true. Scott said, I can't stand people that limit their business and then they wonder why the people go somewhere else. Yeah, I can't stand when they limit it and then complain about it. Yeah, that is the
I
worst.
love that emoji. That's one
Yeah.
of my favorite emojis. I usually do it about myself, but like, did I miss that? But I love that
Yes.
emoji.
Scott's one of my buddies. He and I always messenger back and forth. Like if I run across the business where they're getting it wrong or getting it
Mhm.
right, I somehow need to tell him.
Oh, I
But I
love
think
it.
we're taking those lessons, I think, and you know what I mean, applying it to our businesses. He's an entrepreneur too. He runs a bunch of different things where he takes an income, as do I. So I think when we see a lesson going on, we like to share it, but the good parts and the bad parts. So we always message each other with, "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened," or "Oh, you're not going to believe what happened."
I
Either
love that.
way. But yeah, that's awesome. So so how can people get the book? On the website?
So yeah, absolutely. Driven Outcomes. Also, you can go to www.magicbluerocks.com. However, in the whole sense of helping and value, you can download the first chapter both to read or to listen to. I have it audio or PDF because I like the idea that folks can decide if this is good for them before they make a purchase. So if it
Oh,
sounds like
nice.
something that would really inspire you, you've got that first chapter, it'll give you an idea of the flow of the book. Bob Berg actually also did the foreword, so you get to hear
Oh,
that.
nice.
And
Nice.
if it's something that would be of value to you, you can get it across, hey, omni-channel. You can get ebook or you can get hard book or hardcover, soft cover, and also Audible. And I read that one myself.
Oh, that's awesome. Now all of that's on the
Yeah,
website, so they shouldn't go to
all of
their
it. Mhm.
regular online. They should go
They
to.
can. Look, go at what works for you. It's up to you.
Okay,
But
so
the free first chapter is only on magicbluerocks.com, and you can also
okay.
get to it from my actual website. But yeah, you can go order it through Barnes and Noble or Amazon or wherever you want. There's just more free stuff if you go through my site.
Okay, so magicbluerocks.com. One of
Hmm.
my buddies, can you type that in the comments because it's not letting me type something, if you wouldn't mind?
Awesome.
Magicbluerocks.com. That'll save me from changing the green bar. But you know
There you
what? When
go.
I put this up on YouTube, I'll make sure to put that link in the comments.
Thanks.
So,
I appreciate it.
so I better do it. Magicbluerocks.com, because that is absolutely, I didn't know quick enough. I didn't look at what you sent me quick enough to have read it yet. So I'm going to get it right away. And I'm going to
No
get it on my
worries.
Kindle, because I'm a Kindle gal lately. I don't know why. I'm
I
Kindle
love it.
lately. Yeah, I'm actually weeding out my books. Bob makes me sad when I see. No, it's not that he makes me sad, but his background is his library when we're talking to him
Mm-hmm.
in Rachel's.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can only imagine his horror when he sees my crazy,
No.
because I am a little crazy.
I
But
don't think he has horror about it. Look, you can't see any of mine. Look, I got
but that's
nothing.
kind of
I
good.
got just little stuff.
But see, I like revel in my craziness. See, I
Yes. Own
don't
it.
mind
Love
it.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you very much for putting that somebody put the URL. So
I
yay,
appreciate that.
great
Thank
stuff.
you.
Yay. No, I'm a little crazy and I don't mind that. I kind of
Mm-mm.
like that.
I think our
Yeah.
genius is in our crazy. I really do. Like the thing that is weird about you is usually the thing that makes you special and gives you your special advantage in life. I really do think that.
No, I'll go with that.
Well,
That
because here's
works
the
for
thing.
me.
People have probably said, Lisa, you're crazy to think you could do that. And you're like, why, yes, I am. Watch.
That's true. Yeah, I take that as a challenge. Well, and I think as far as like my direct sales thing goes, I didn't know when they were saying stuff to me, they were actually making fun of me, derogatory, and I wasn't understanding because I was young and stupid. So when they would say stuff like I'm going to make a career out of this and I'm going to make it to the top of the pay plan, they would
Right?
say stuff like, only 2% of the people make it to the top of the pay plan. I don't know why, but I sat there going, so I need to be in the top 2%. So how many people are there? So I
Lisa,
was like
that's
doing the math.
mindset.
I didn't
That's
realize,
mindset.
well, yeah, but it was kind of like the naive, because
No,
I
it's
didn't realize
brilliant.
they were saying you're not going to be able to do this because so few. I didn't know
No,
that.
they're idiots. No, you know what they were actually saying, Lisa? It's only 2%. So would you make it? You're incredibly special.
Well, see, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, okay, so it's probably a math problem is what I'm thinking. So how
Right.
many people are there? How fast do I need to do this? And so right away I was going, they must have, I was so obnoxious at the local district meetings when they had those. They don't do that anymore, by the way. You'd go and you'd meet the other
I got to
people.
go to one. That's when they found out I was a kid.
So when I went though, when I found out I needed to be in the top percent there,
Mhm.
you start local and then they had like district, division, region, national, right? So I would go to the district meeting and the top one sold probably 20,000 back then. And I
Mhm.
said, look out, sister, because I'm coming for you.
Right?
And I'm like 20. And so they're like, yeah. And then I did after a couple of years. But then I realized that was the sad part about my naiveness, is that I didn't realize the district was a small. And then once I got to the top of that, I'm like, oh, what do you mean? There's a division? Oh, what do you mean? There's a region? Oh, what do you mean?
Right?
There's the national. So it was
I
a
think
while
that's
before I
a
figured it
gift.
out.
I think that's a gift. Like you said that you were naive. I have to tell you, I think some of my greatest achievements in life have come out of being naive because I often say, well, how hard can it be? Right? Where if I had
Right.
fully
If I had
understood what
known.
I was undertaking, I might have had the
Right.
sense to be afraid. Maybe not, but I might have. So, what a gift it is to be naive in that way.
Oh, yeah, too bad I could be more naive. Maybe there's a way I could be more. Well, not that believe me, I'm not that much on the ball now. No, yeah, mostly that has happened because like when I did make it the top of the pay plan, if I had known I was the first one on the East Coast, I didn't know that. And when I made it, I said, now do I get to talk to the other people? I thought they were keeping them from me. You know what I mean? They're like, now do I get to talk to the other people? And they're like, you're it. And I'm like, excuse me? Excuse
Okay,
me?
so wait, I have a question. I have a
Yeah.
question for you. When you got to that point, because I've had these moments in my life, you get to that point, you're at the place you wanted to be that you thought everyone was at, and they're not, right? And you
Yeah.
look around and you're like, I thought you guys were smarter than this. I thought it would take more to be here. Does that make sense?
I
What I'm
well,
saying?
I was a little scared at first because I didn't
Yeah.
realize, right? Because when they said there's no one else, matter of fact, what I was looking forward to was the car allowance because I was
Right.
driving a Yugo
Oh
and
God.
I
I love that.
needed the car so bad, and they didn't know how to pay it because they hadn't paid anyone yet out of my branch. So I'm like, what?
It's so
Excuse me? Oh, excuse me? What do you mean? And so
I
it was
love
like
it.
I was saying in my head, oh shit. I thought there was a bunch of other people, and that I
Right?
was going to get to learn from them what you're really supposed to be doing because I figured I must not be doing what I'm really supposed to be doing, and it wasn't like that. So that's I think even then that's when I realized I needed to go outside the company and look around
I love
and learn
it.
as much as I could because I there weren't people ahead of me, I guess, and I
That
didn't
is
know
so
it.
cool. I
I
love
didn't know,
congratulations, Lisa. That's huge,
but
right? Like, do you understand how huge that is?
but I pretty much just admitted I stumbled into it. Not stumbled, but you know what I mean. I didn't know what
Yes
I was
and no.
doing. I
It
didn't know what
doesn't
I was doing.
matter because you were doing, right? And
Right,
how many
right.
people don't know what they're doing? How many people, I said it a little earlier in our discussion today, there are things that I did that seem really smart now because they worked. If they had failed, you would have seen that they weren't well planned and I was just guessing,
Well, and I'm
right?
sure you, unless you talked about it in your book, I don't necessarily talk about all my failures. I don't
Oh, I
highlight them
do.
all.
I
So
do.
maybe
I
I should
love
know more of
to.
that.
Because I think that we need to do that for people. And here's why. I think that we as a society gloss over everything. We gloss over our life.
Yeah.
We put on a filter, whatever we're doing. And I think that the kindest thing that you can do for other entrepreneurs is admit, hey, sometimes I mess up. Sometimes I suck. I'm just going to tell all you new friends today. Sometimes I don't shower for 2 days. I'm just going to be honest with you because I'm working, I'm in my thing. So, but tell them the things that are real and that's okay. I remember when I very first started my company, I read the book by Tim Ferriss, Tools of Titans. And what really just was so meaningful to me was that he talked about how there were some days that he was so overwhelmed, and he's been very successful by his business, that he just kind of laid in bed and was scared and said, okay, if I do 3 things today, that's enough. And to see somebody who'd achieved that level of success who said, oh, by the way, the last time I had a day like that was 3 months ago. You're like, okay, so I don't have to get this right all the time to get this right. That's a gift. So
No,
I
that
try
is.
and share all my failures. And another book, if you want to read about an entrepreneur who did so many things wrong and yet had tremendous success, it's called Shoe Dog by Phil Knight. It's the Nike story. And I have
Ooh,
never before or since heard, because I listened to it on Audible, but heard an entrepreneur make more mistakes, do more things wrong, and be more honest about their faults and have that much success. It
oh,
was
nice.
awesome. Yeah, loved it.
Oh, I write that down, and I'm going to put them in the group too,
Oh,
y'all.
wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I've
That
had
was so
so much
awesome.
fun, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, spending time with us today.
It was
And
my honor.
I if some people ask things in the group, they can connect with you because you're not in the group,
Sure.
only because I couldn't get you in. I don't think I have your personal to do that, but um,
Okay.
I'll contact you if they have questions that we can't
Absolutely.
just direct them to you, but they can find you at Driven
At
Outcomes, right?
And I'm
For that.
I'm on Facebook. I'm on all the social medias, and you can reach out to me on them because they're all public, so you can
Oh,
interact with
it's
me.
just not a personal page. It's a business page.
Right.
That's
So
why.
I have a business page, but you can also find me. There are only 2 April Sprints, and they're both me, so you can find me that
Oh,
way too.
nice. Oh, okay. That makes sense. That must be nice to have the only name like that.
Or people may
Oh,
not be able
really?
to say it, but they damn sure can find you.
Yeah. I say I have 2 Facebook friends with my exact same name because we
Ah,
think it's funny. but they
Right.
call each other name twin, but that's still, yeah, it's special, but not when you're trying to brand yourself.
Yeah, I get
Right.
that.
Well, thank you so much. And if you stay right there for a moment, I have a very, matter of fact, I'll ask you right now, but stay,
Okay.
when we end, stay in the green room for a second so I can thank you. But the very
Okay, thank
important
you.
question that I ask all of my guests is you're going to get a thank you card and you get your choice of a goodie. I have
Ooh,
brownies, cookies, or sea salt caramels.
sea
What
salt
is
caramels.
Oh, you're gonna love them. Everybody knows the
Thank you
sea
so
salt
much.
caramels. Yes, you are gonna love them. So I will thank you very much, and I'll put this up on YouTube, and I really appreciate you.
Oh,
Thank you,
this has been
April.
so much fun, Lisa. Thank you.
Okay, everybody, we'll talk to you in a little bit.